Afternoon, YouTube. I think it's been 24 hours since I've been on. I have to work on I want to have a good day. Is what I'm going to say. I'm going to have a good day. It's Thanksgiving. Sorry, not Thanksgiving, Easter. Happy Easter to the Christians. I definitely don't want anyone to think I have a problem with Christians at all, because I don't. I don't. Just give me a second here. Okay. By the way, if anybody listening, if you like this background music that I'm playing right now, this is from, this is available actually, let me just confirm, on my channel. I have two playlists on there, and tools for healing. So I always list like when I, not always, but I'm starting to now, when I get like a really good, excuse me, when I get a really good a video that I can not manifest, that I can, sorry, I started playing the playlist. When I get a really good video that I can meditate to, I'll add it to this playlist. I'm very picky about them. My meditations are like an hour long. I try to stay in meditation at least like 30 minutes minimum. I try to really stay in there. But I like to share them because of how long it takes me to find a good video. I've been meditating to the same video for like 5, 6, 7 years, like something insane, like long, like years, just because I really liked that one. And I'm talking about every day, every single day without missing a day, meditating to this one video. So if I have three in here, that's a lot. I've been looking through different ones, and if I have a really good meditation to one, I list it. So that being said, let's get going. So again, happy Easter. Happy Easter weekend. I am not Christian myself, but I take a lot from Christianity. So one of the things, and it's so funny because there is this one particular tarot reader that I listen to, and she and I tend to have very similar downloads, if not the same thing. So I noticed this for a while, and it wasn't just her actually, it was other people as well, other readers as well. So we would have like the same, very similar if not the same downloads. And why did I even bring that up? Oh yeah, because she brought up this topic about the Christ walk, and she brought this up in a reading that she did like last year, months ago. And it was something that had also come to me as well. So when I was younger, I grew up in a very religious household. And when I grew up, Easter, the Jesus story, the crucifixion story was on literally the entire weekend from sunup to sundown. So I literally can reenact all the roles in this movie. I don't know why they played the same movie every single year. So this is my entire childhood. And obviously the part of that was the Christ walk. Just looking at, I mean, even as a child, that was traumatic. Like, I know it's religious and we let our kids watch it, but that was extremely traumatic. And I really just feel like what I've gone through has been a Christ walk. It's not just been because of the heavy spiritual component of the entire experience. It's been more than just being gang stalked and how to get out of it. There are things that I learned, different pieces, bits and pieces of everything that I learned on how to deal with different things that were being thrown at me, that I've now become a part of my lifestyle. These things have become part of my future, things that, I teach my children now, just a way of living, even outside of being attacked. It's just part of spiritual hygiene for me. But in saying so, I also looked at a lot of feelings that I already had in me, like just kind of gut instincts on how to live my life, as well as, things that we were taught, but we were never taught why. So one of the things that I know, and this is kind of a little off course, but I'm gonna reel it back. One of the things that I know about myself is that, or I've always felt, sorry, I just had to turn this down. It's not that I am uncomfortable with my sexuality necessarily, or expressing that necessarily. It's just that, or listening to other people, sometimes it used to make me uncomfortable. It's not that I have any issue with that. It's just that I've always felt like that's something that's extremely sacred. I've always felt that way. And I've always felt that that's something that is supposed to mean something. And now I understand why. I understand why I've always been of the feeling my entire life that you just don't sleep around with just anyone. That's just one example. There are things that have been pulling to me from the time I was a kid. For example, tarot cards. When I was younger, I was friends with someone whose mom read tarot, and she was a sweet lady. She was nice, but I wanted to get into it. I bought my home cards. I never read it because I was like, something about it kind of scared me, and I just, like, I never got into it. As I've been reflecting, so first of all, coming out of being heavily gang stalked, which people think that you cannot come out of it, and that is, I am here to tell you, first of all, that's false. So that's what I'm talking all about today. Coming out of being heavily gang stalked, and now being in a situation where I've had several months to reflect, and I've been reflecting on camera with everybody here. Coming out of this situation has been, I've been healing in front of everyone. And I've gone through the full gamut of emotions of everything. So healing is not, I say it all the time, and it's like, it's something that everybody knows. Healing is not linear. I have good days, I have hard days. I have days where I feel like I've taken so many steps forward, and I have other days where, it's much more difficult. So anybody going through or coming out of this, like, be prepared for that. But I've had so much time to reflect on how much work God's done in my life, and not just how much work God's done in my life during gang stalking, where I felt like I got introduced to God in a sense, but how much work God's done in my life to prepare me for this journey, to prepare me to not let me find myself in this position too soon before I was ready. So let me jump into kind of what I wrote down to talk about. I have a clothing store. I sell women's clothing. And when I first started selling clothes, I was selling like cocktail dresses. They were a bit fitted, but it was my style. It was stuff that I would want to wear, stuff that I considered cute. And then the customers that kept coming around kept pushing me and saying they look like church clothes. I'm not talking about church clothes. I'm talking about just like nice fitted dresses. Banded dresses used to be very popular back then, and those are the dresses that I sold. And the customers that kept coming were urban customers and girls that were into like just drug culture, I'm gonna call it. Now, in our community, that seems to be something that people think is normal. And, I'm not going to comment on that right now. But, at the time, I felt that it was normal because there's so many people that are involved in that kind of lifestyle. And though I came from a corporate background, it's not for me, and I don't know. And I stuck out like a sore thumb. I didn't initially, and probably still now, never had a lot of respect in that community. Just not, they respect my work ethic, they respect how I run my business, but not, I don't have street credibility. It's like, I don't have family in that lifestyle. I don't have friends in that lifestyle. I don't have any like backing or anybody that can stand up and say like, yeah, I vouch for this person, whatever. So I've had to build my own sort of customer base by learning very quickly what people want, what kind of models would sell, all that sort of stuff. And I have been approached by people trying to pull me into a drug lifestyle for quite some time. And every single time they would approach me, God would shut it down. Every single time, God would shut it down. So when I first came in, this guy approached me, and he was a fairly like nice guy, fairly decent guy. I didn't know much about him. But he came around and he was like, I have someone that I'd like to introduce you to. And this girl was like a very big stripper. And at the time that I got introduced to her, she had, like, I mean, right when I got introduced to her, right when I gave them clothing, she came to me and she's like, would you dress me? I'm going to the States. And then she made, they made a sex tape with Lil Wayne. I'm not joking. And so she was very, like, people were interested in that. And this is right when she was like shouting out my store. And then I got different influencers from the States. And that's right when Instagram started to like blow up. So right when people started to take Instagram seriously, I got very popular very quickly. And then that was the first time that I was approached by someone who was trying to recruit me more or less. So the way this looks is the same way it looks now. Everybody is your friend. They love bomb. You're exciting. You're this, you're that, you're the third. But they always try to make your business more, what's the word? More attractive to those types of girls. So I went from being in corporate, and then I'm having like all these strippers, because they really looked up to this girl. Like all the strippers in Toronto looked up to this one girl. And then I had other businesses popping up trying to be like mine. It was like I was very popular for a few months. And even prior to that, I was working in corporate and I was making a lot of money in corporate. I was making a lot of money. Like, if I made 5 grand for the month, that was a horrible month. That was a month I actually lost business. I was making 5 figures a month. Single girl with my kids, single mom, but my mortgage at the time was like $700, $1,000 total. Like I was doing well for myself. I had little to no debt. You know, things were good. It was what I would have called at the time a dream job. I had my own office, my own business card. I was winning awards for sales. And then things just started happening. And then it was like, I'm starting this new business because I don't want to work in corporate anymore. I kind of had a lot of the politics with people in corporate as well. If you've worked in corporate, you know what I'm talking about. But ended up in this clothing business. Things are going good. Things are blowing up. And then I saw the resentment when I didn't go down that road with them, where I could see them pulling me in. And that's the thing. The thing about me is I'm nice, but I'm not your friend. And I think sometimes people have a difficult time with, you know, absorbing that information, or maybe like accepting that if they're coming in with an agenda. So if you're just coming in and you just kind of, you know, maybe like me or like how I do things, it might bruise your ego, but it's not supposed to be that bad. But people were really coming in, and it's like different people kept coming in from different angles. So it was nonstop. And then it ends the same way. As soon as they start that walk with you, and then you don't want to go out with them, you don't want to go clubbing, you don't want to build a friendship, a fake friendship, it ends in resentment. And then they start slandering you to other people, and they start ruining your reputation and trying to stop business from coming your way. So it essentially was a very, very, very subdued version of what I've experienced, you know, in the last 2 years with gang stalking. Only, you know, in the last 2 years, I was dealing with a lunatic psycho gang stalker. Whereas before I was dealing with kind of, you know, young girls who maybe were dating guys in, you know, in the drug game or whatever, but that was my clientele. Now, everybody coming around knew like I was different. I'm not from this world. Obviously they can tell, but just by the way that I speak. And I'm not really a person who's gonna, like, I don't mind selling this type of clothing. Plus my kids were too young to really know like this is the type of clothing I was selling. Just like basic club wear, like Fashion Nova type clothing. My kids were too young, so it's like I felt like I used to constantly feel like I used to hide my business. So whenever I went around people, like other corporate people or other, I don't know how to say it, other people that I would naturally be around, I wouldn't tell them what my business is. I wouldn't, they'd want to see and I'd be like, no, because I'd always feel like I had to explain it. And it was always this, I always felt conflict with it, but I didn't know how to pivot. Not that I didn't know how to pivot, but I didn't want to, because I came to understand that brand and like that crowd and how to sell. And I just didn't want to. And I could be low effort with not having to have a very polished like store, not having to do this, not having to do that, because it's fast fashion. They're gonna buy it either way. It's fairly cheap. It, like, just didn't really care. Anyway, I say all of that to say, in reflecting, I have seen how it's been strategic for me to find myself around these kinds of people. And, you know, the first girl that came around me that I felt like was recruiting me, I can think of at least 5 other girls besides her that have all been up to the same thing. And it's been the same strategy, and it's been kind of like they walk you down the same path, they do the same thing, all the way up to the last one, which was Daisy Porus. So it's been like the same line. So, you know, it is what it is. I gained a lot of clientele, a lot of popularity, I guess you would say, in my city, in those circles. It's like people know me, but they don't like really know me. They don't, you know, it's not like people come to my house and I'm around anyone. Like I said, I don't quite fit into the crowd personally. It doesn't really like match my lifestyle and who I am. But the first time that too many people kept coming at me, my business shut down. I had to shut down my location. My Instagram got shut down. So I had built up to that point like 3,000 followers, and my whole Instagram got shut down. And then I spent another 2 years building up again, but building the business again the same way, same crowd, same clientele. And then my biggest thing was I needed to learn how to sell over the internet. And I did that. It took 2 years. And then I finally opened up another new location, did the same thing all over again. Built it in the same way, same crowd, same nonsense, approached by multiple different girls. And you know, whenever there's that sort of clientele, the people that approach you are always like working girls. They're always either strippers or they're escorts or something. And it's like, I don't want to offend anyone because that is my clientele. But at the same time, it's like, no, like, no. So I can understand, but you know what? Like I said, those girls knew it, and I think there was just like a mutual respect. It's like a lot of girls would tell me like, "Thank you for not judging me. You're not judgmental, etc., etc." Because I'm really not. It's nothing to do with me. I just kind of felt like I own the building, I own the business, but it's not really as like I'm not going to dinner with anyone. Then I end up dating someone and really feeling like what I saw from the outside was just something that would work for me. Someone who's just quiet, actually, someone who's just like me. Quiet, settled, reserved, works a business, is a peaceful person. And it was like, I guess at that point, you know, God felt like, okay, you're ready. Prior to meeting this person, here's some of the things that happened to me prior to meeting this person that I was dating. One, the last person I was dating before him did a love spell on me right before actually I started dating him. So I could tell it was a love spell, but I didn't know what a love spell was. I wasn't really like, at that time, I wasn't really like into the spell work thing, or like I didn't really understand that stuff. I was like most people out there. If you talk to me about spell work, I'd be like, politely. And then I'd be like, I'd move to the next subject, just like not to offend you, but I wouldn't understand what you're talking about. But I had been training myself to meditate. And I was very strict about it for whatever reason. that breakup wasn't hard on me. It wasn't like I was crying about it. When a love spell breaks, it's very instant. It's like you just wake up out of like a psychosis and you're like, what the hell was that? And you know the other person didn't care at all because of their behavior, but you're like, what did I feel? So I woke up out of that and I didn't really care. I don't know why actually, I remember why I started meditating. I started listening just out of nowhere. I started getting into spirituality, and it started off very soft. So it started off with Eckhart Tolle, who just talks about mindfulness and like calming, clearing your mind and being at peace. And then it went into Abraham Hicks, who some of the stuff she talked about was a little bit more out there, but it was still in the space of like, I can take a corporate retreat and go meditate space. But she always talked about the importance of quieting your mind every day, of meditating. But she has her energy with her, and she calls herself we. And hers is Abraham. That's who she calls him. And so when she channels Abraham, she goes on stage and people ask questions. And the people that would come to these conferences and like cruises and seminars would be people that I could see myself around. So Abraham speaks to like corporate people, middle class people, educated people, people who used to be executives, entrepreneurs, CEOs, people like that. And so she would talk a lot about, but it wasn't your typical like um, how to manifest 10 million or anything like that. It was just about how to call in divine energy. And I have to go back and listen because there was a book that she talked about, and it talked about energy. It talked about a spirit that came to her or something or the other. God, now I have to go look it up. Let me write it down. So she talked about there was this book that she had, and then she got on Oprah, and she got an interview with Oprah. And Oprah, and what did they call it? The law of attract. What? It's not. What is? Was it the law of attraction? It was some very popular book that she wrote. It got on Oprah's reading club, and then Oprah backed out. And she said it was because Oprah got a little scared about the stuff that she was talking about. And she said that's okay because maybe she's not ready yet. But here's what I think. I don't think Oprah necessarily got scared of what she's talking about. I think Oprah is backed by a media conglomerate that's controlled by something that doesn't want Oprah's influence behind such a message. So I learned the importance of meditation, but I also learned how to manifest from her. And so I went through all of this, the manifestation thing. This took years, by the way, so I don't want anybody to think like it took a long time. It took a lot of discipline, but the core message of what she has to say is about controlling your vibration, controlling your vibration to the point that it's not affected by outside influences, and being in a vibration of love, and always and that things are always working out for you, and that's a thing she always says, things are always working out for me. And that love is the highest vibration and all of that. So I went through all of this like a boot camp by myself at my house. So I was building my business, but I was extremely strict about doing this morning ritual, like always listening to her, following everything. And I became extremely committed to being in a high vibration. So I spent a lot of years learning how to navigate the world around me in an extremely high vibration. And so I'm dealing with a innately chaotic clientele base. I'm dealing with girls who physically fight. Like, that is their natural reaction, is to physically want to be at odds with people. Like, if they need a refund and the things on the way, like, they don't understand. So it was really a good sort of, how would I put it, practice ground. And then also too, I have kids, and then I had one daughter at the time who was a teen, and anybody who has teens, well, she was like preteen, but anybody who has teens know that they will stretch your patience thin. So that was another one that I remember saying, if I master not getting triggered by my kid, then I master myself. And so I used to kind of hold her as an object to measure how far I've come. And I just mastered that, I want to say 2 years ago with my daughter, with my older one. I just kind of was like, I release, I accept, and it is what it is. So I got myself into a situation where I couldn't get out of it with the dating of my ex. They were just on me, and they had pulled in a gang stalker. It was like, I don't know if it was like tempting to this organization that I kept flirting around and dancing around with their people. I was in the vicinity, and I just wasn't one that was coming in no matter who I was around. And then I just felt like they came to a point where they were like, okay, we're getting this girl one way or the other. And then that's where it evolved into gang stalking. It was like every single time someone came up to me and it didn't work, it's like I would get that sort of attitude from them. But this particular time, it was an attitude I was getting from them. It was kind of like, well, I tried my best, or we tried the nice way. We tried to do it the nice way. It was like that was the type of feeling that I was getting. So I was just like, well, I was nowhere near prepared for or told about what I was walking into, cuz obviously had I had any indication, I would have been out of there quick. Okay? Quick. I wouldn't have set more roots. I wouldn't have purchased a big house in the pandemic and signed leases in malls, and I wouldn't have done any of that had I known this was what I was going to go through. And I feel like God made me do those things on purpose so that I can stay in this situation, and has encouraged me to remain in this situation for longer than I truly had to, because there are keys to getting out of it that are just like right there. And I don't know, and none of us are figuring it out, how to do it, how to get out. Now, this is the other part of it, is that there are two components of it. There is the real world component of being gang stalked, where there's the following, people are following you, they're sabotaging you. If for me, they're sabotaging my business, and they're slandering your name, and they're isolating you. There's those real life things that are happening, and you can just say, yeah, I'm gonna get on a plane and get out of here. There's also the spiritual side of it that is going on, and that side needs to be dealt with, and there's absolutely nothing that you can do. So the last video that I made, I was talking about the spiritual marriage component of being gang stalked. There is a spiritual binding that happens to you. And in so many videos, I've talked about how rappers who sell drugs always talk about being married to the game. And that is very literal, whether they know it or not. There is an actual ritual where they get binded to the drug game. And I don't know if people know that or not. I have learned so much in my time of going through this, and I really do feel like that was the point of me going through it. I feel like I was never meant to stay in it, and I knew I was never going to stay in it. Like, see, that's the thing. I already met my Abraham, okay? Like, and Abraham talks about meeting an extraterrestrial sort of life force, if you will, that guides you, your higher self. And I remember when I used to meditate, it was almost like I'd have this vision almost like it was a bunch of us in a circle meditating, but I didn't know who the other figures were. They just appeared translucent and blue. And I would be in the meditation like, should I be doing this? Should I be participating? And I don't know the other beings in the meditation because this seems kind of kooky. But I don't know. It felt natural. Now I know who the other beings in there were, but it felt natural and it felt peaceful. And I remember when I met, the figure that I call mother, like physically, like so I know how this must sound to people who do not believe in this. So please, I'm not going to be offended however you take it, because I would be the same. But I'm saying when I physically met this presence, I used to like cry and I was like, I have to meet Abraham. I have to go to one of her seminars, not to ask her anything, just be like, thank you for letting me meet my Abraham. But even before Abraham Hicks, I knew there was something around me and it used to confuse me and I used to try to figure it out. I used to say to I remember talking to certain people, I'm like, maybe this is because my grandma used to anoint me a lot as a child. I don't know what that is. And people used to just laugh it off. And then I would laugh it off and I'd be like, okay, maybe I'm overthinking. But anytime someone violated me in any way, they hurt me, even if it was just hurting my feelings, things would not go well. And so I came to a certain age, kind of around when I was a teenager, I want to say, where if people hurt me, I if people hurt me, I would not want to take revenge. I would try to forgive them quickly. It came to a point I would pray for them. Um, I'd be very I just already knew. I just already knew. Um, Yeah, and then I remember I got on Instagram and that's where I saw a quote one time and it said the quote was something like, I pray for people who hurt me because they don't know, or something like that. And it's like, oh shoot, so other people are like that too. And literally, I kid you not. So after the gang stalking started, I literally prayed for my ex for like 45 minutes straight. I was like crying, bawling. I was like, I know he doesn't deserve it. I was repeating that for the longest. I'm like, I know he doesn't deserve it, but please. And there was this heavy resistance in the energy. Like they were not trying to hear nada. They were not trying to hear, no, I know he doesn't deserve it, nothing. Like they finally relented. And I used to pray for his protection because I was like, I felt it in my energy already, how this energy was coming. And it wasn't just one, it's like how they are coming. Now, people have ended up in situations, life or death situations, for doing way less than what this John Ferrer guy has done. I'm talking about like hurt my feelings, way less. Cheat on me, small things. And I'm sitting there the whole time I'm being gang stalked, and I was like, and they're letting him do this. So I'm like, I know I'm feeling it in my energy. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling rage in my energy. I'm feeling wrath. I'm feeling tightness. I'm feeling tension. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling more of that. So it's like, I don't even have the time to necessarily be scared, because I'm like, listen, I don't know, you know, I don't know what to say. But I warned him, I did tell him, I said to him, nothing good happens to people who hurt me my entire life. And I remember my dad used to like say this to me. He said, you better hope. He said, you better hope that this stops, because people are going to start calling you the Black Widow. because it wasn't good. It wasn't good. So the father of my kids has passed away, and I have another ex who, anyway, I don't know why John would marry himself to me and do that. So anyway, this is a spiritual binding thing. I say all that because I don't want to freak anybody out, okay? I don't want to freak anybody out. This is why people probably think I'm doing something to them when I'm not. I'm very peaceful in my energy. When they come in my energy, I don't know how to do spell work. I think sometimes when I talk about certain things, I think people are gonna think they're gonna come on here and they're gonna get a step-by-step guide on how to do spell work, or a step-by-step guide on some mixtures, on how to break spiritual bindings. I disappoint every time, and I don't have that. I'm going to tell you to pray. I think the people in this situation don't believe in prayer. They don't believe in that. They don't believe. If people really knew that energy was this real, and some people do, and maybe people purposely gatekeep this information because a witch's worst nightmare is that you send their energy back. Fighting black magic with black magic is something people do all the time. So if you go to a graveyard and you go get graveyard dirt, and then I go to, like, this is how a reader described it. She's like, one person goes to graveyard, and then the other person goes to 2 graveyards, and the other person goes to 5 graveyards. Like, they're used to doing that. But it's not often that they get things like their energy cleared off, which I guess people call white magic, which is where you're clearing off energy and you're sending the same energy back. Because when the same energy is sent back, there's 2 things that happen. First of all, the person sending the energy back doesn't get karma. So you're not getting karma for sending people's energy back. But the energy is getting sent back with 3 times the force. And that is just if you don't ask for it to be sent back with more. It's being sent back with 3 times the force that it was sent to you. So that's why people who play in this kind of stuff, they don't want you to know that they play in this. Because if you know that they play in this, and if you believe that they play in it, then you're going to have what it takes to get yourself, not only get yourself out of it, but to consistently send their energy back. So then you're finding yourself in a situation, or they find themselves in a situation where they're buried under their own energy. The thing about being in your own energy is you can't clear it off. You can't clear it off. When you created this energy, you're forced to sit in it. If it's somebody else's energy, you can't ping pong your energy back and forth. It's your energy, so it goes back once. And so the bulk of what my channel talks about spiritually is about clearing off your energy so you do not have to sit in the dirty energy that you're being sent. So you do not have to get sick from the stuff that they're sending you, so that you do not have to fall into like mental illness. You do not fall into poverty. You definitely, I'll say there were some changes that had to happen in my life at this time, no matter what happened, whether I was being gang stalked or not. So it wasn't gang stalking that caused my Instagram page to be shut down the first time that it got shut down. It was just like a random occurrence. And so whether or not it would have been gang stalking that would have taken me out of, the course that I was taking, I was not supposed to be on that course. And when I step back and I look at my life, I know that I was just following the course that I had to follow anyway, but there was going to be this obstacle in my course that I had to be equipped to deal with. So I look at, for example, where I live right now. I have tried to sell this place so many different times, and I've been so frustrated because everybody else everybody else's place sells and mine doesn't. And I'm like, what the hell is this? And this is before gang stalking. So I've just held on to the place and just like kind of always had a tenant. I talked about the story of how I bought my house in the middle of the pandemic, where it was like, I didn't go the first time. They sent me back to look again. I signed up. It was like, I didn't want to do it. I woke up in the middle of the night, and every excuse I made, it was like, God was like, no, 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 you're buying this house. I woke up in the middle of the night, and it's still on my application form where I wrote down every single place that I would get the money from. And I had the money, it was just in different accounts. And just different things that happened. And even my car that I have right now is like a fully paid off car. And it was just like, it was so annoying to find the parking for it before I moved to my house. I tried to sell the car a million times, and it was like the car just, I was just always too lazy. There was always something, and this is the car that I have now. And I say all of this to say is that coming full circle with the situation, I know that it was critical for me to walk this journey, and it was critical for me to meet everybody that I met and go through everything that I went through. And I kind of just see it as like God was kind of like, you're gonna get everything, but you know, we need you to kind of do us a favor before you get here. I hate to say it, but I feel like that's what it was like. It just truly felt like you kind of have to do this. Like, this is kind of part of it. This is not necessarily something that's gonna be a part of your life forever, but you know, we need you to do this. I always had that feeling the entire time. And then there was some point in the middle of it that I kind of just knew multiple times. It's like I would just keep having this out of body experience, like, not like this is not real in the sense that it's not happening, but I'm emotionally detached to it, and I think it's ridiculous. It's like, this is not seriously occurring here. Like, this John person's not. Because it's like, when you see a person, most people don't know who their handler is, or maybe you know your handler, but most people don't, maybe they don't know who their chief gang stalker is. But when you know the person and you kind of see through them, and you're like, this is ridiculous. Like, this person's not in control of themselves. How have they been able to like trick all these people? Like, what is going on here? It was like, I was really just like, I felt like I was studying more than I was experiencing. I was learning more than anything, because I kept being put in situations for me to see things for myself. So first God would tell me something, and then I would see it for myself. It's like, see, remember I told you that this was happening? Okay, here you go. Here's one of them that's going through that. Here's another one that's going through that. And if I didn't believe it, if I was like, no, that's just a coincidence, they're like, okay, we're going to show you 3 people going through the same thing. So it was like, I got to see so much. I got to feel and experience what being hit with that kind of magic feels like. And then I got to see the effects of people who didn't know how to clean it off, people who didn't know how to defend themselves. If I had just gone through this and not experienced it, I mean, to be honest, for the first like year or so, I wasn't really upset at my ex. I really didn't blame him, but not really. I didn't blame him at all. I was like, these people are whack jobs. But coming to, I guess, like after the second half where I started going through the spell work, I was like, holy crap, like they are using a lot of heavy magic on people in order to keep people stuck in this situation. And I just realized, like, this is a lot, this was a lot more difficult for people than just being able to endure being gang stalked. Like, this was a lot of heavy stuff going on. So and the other thing too, oh my God, I'm not joking. I really feel like I've met like Satan. I'm not talking about like run of the mill demonic energy. I'm talking about like I met Satan himself. Like the chief demon. That's what I felt like I met. I'm not joking. That's what I felt in my energy. The worst part of the entire experience was experiencing that energy. And And it's an energy that you can actually even separate from the person who's carrying it. You can separate the two. I've felt entities on people before. And this particular entity that is in this group is very hostile, at least when I'm around it. It is on attack mode and you feel it the entire time that you're around it. So I always wonder how comes the people who are the host of it, they seem to be just walking around just fine, and it's very irritating to me. So I've felt it from years before. But it's so crazy because all of these little experiences that I took note of, and then to get into the full sort of gang stalking experience, coming full circle with everything, I just know that God was definitely preparing me for something and to see something. Back to what I was saying, I know that gang stalking has been my Christ walk. It has been a persecution. I think everybody going through it will know exactly what I mean by that it's felt like persecution, because not just the way that they mock you, not just the way that they abuse you, but spiritually what you feel, what you go through spiritually. And I had to face that, get on my cross, die, and be born again. Now, this is from a Christian perspective, and I truly do feel like the story of Jesus Christ is symbolic. And that might be one of the reasons why I don't necessarily pray to Jesus Christ as a figure. I think it's symbolic. I think that, excuse me, there's definitely God the Father. There's who we know as the Holy Spirit, but that's Mother. And she is the Holy Spirit because she doesn't just stay, excuse me, in one dimension. She is the womb of the universe. She is creation itself. She is source energy. And she exists in all realms because she's the creator of all things. Dark entities, light energies, and all of that. And believe it or not, you know, I kind of talk about what we consider demons to just simply be aspects of ourselves that we haven't mastered, and that it's not necessarily something to fear, and that, you know, demonic energy is also something that is of service to God as well, because you can't learn anything, you can't truly learn anything without some sort of oppressive force, some sort of pushback on you. You get to a certain point where you're just doing the same thing all the time. In order to rank up, you need to challenge yourself and you need to overcome things, and the things that you need to overcome are incredibly difficult. Incredibly difficult. Gang stalking is very difficult, but you know what? I think the position that John Ferrer is in is way more difficult than being gang stalked. And not even the life or death component of it, having that sort of entity be very welcome in your vessel and not want to let go, I think that is a very difficult thing to contend to when you're clinging to sanity and your right mind is telling you you need to stop, this needs to end, you need to not do this, and you have an energy on your back that is forcing your hand. And let me tell you, I perceive what it feels like, because this energy can move your hand. And I mean that literally. You invite these energies in, they take possession. Now, see, with the Holy Spirit, God does not do possession like that. God doesn't force your hand. You always have a choice. God will plead with you. God will push you. God will show you. God will say, this is what you're forfeiting. This is your path. This is, what we have intended for you. This is what it's about. God will tell you as much as God can, because you're not supposed to be cheating at life like that. Like, God can't just cheat. And it's like, you can't be the only person. Let me tell you, readers can see everybody but themselves, because it's not meant to be a cheat code. You got to walk your path, and trust is part of the path. There is no fun in knowing every single thing that's gonna go in your life, every twist and turn. There's no fun. So technically you're not supposed to be cheating like that. But there might be a little bit of cheating if you're really meant and you're not getting it. That's how spirit works. It's a gentleness. They'll come to you in a dream. They'll bring someone towards you. They'll gently guide you. They'll nudge you, but there's no forcing. There's no bullying. God doesn't work like that. But these lower entities, they don't care. They get possession of a vessel. And that's the thing about being in the underworld. You're not entitled to a vessel. You cannot reincarnate. That is the point of being there. That's the punishment. You don't get to enjoy anything. You don't get to have sex. You don't get to experience love. You've gone too far. So we know we're not letting you back up here. So when they get an opportunity to get a vessel, they're not like, think about it. Think about being down there for like 100,000 years. You get a vessel by chance and by luck. You're not letting go. This person is 50 years old. You're going to drag it out. Who cares? You're going to stay here no matter what that vessel is going through. Because some of these energies are so dark that they really need a particular type of vessel to inhabit. It's not just anyone that can hold that much hate. It's just like when it comes to God, when you pray to God and you start taking on the characteristics of God. And God guides you and assists you to get yourself ready. And then God says, this is a vessel that can hold enough light. This is a vessel that can heal itself, that can rejuvenate, that can hold enough love that I can feel comfortable here. And this person can really be of service in this particular way. And so it's the same thing where you have a lot of darkness. You welcome all that darkness and you're in a situation where you're welcoming these feelings of envy, of pure hatred, of anger. This feeds the entity to the point where it's like, and it's going to continue to provoke situations and continue to like whisper in your ear. And it's not using an outside voice, it's inside, it's using your voice. So you're thinking these are your thoughts. That's why a lot of people don't know when they're under some sort of possession. People around them can see it very clearly, but they can't. And it just keeps people in this cycle of toxic behavior. So I think one of the hardest things to do is to recognize this is your situation and to release this sort of energy. And that's the thing, the longer this energy is on you, it starts feeding off of whatever is in your life, and things continue to get worse and worse, and it just becomes more and more difficult as your reality degrades, disintegrates. It gets more and more difficult to cleanse it off. Now, there are people who don't see, and because they glorify it in music and they glorify it in the media and you know all these different channels, they don't see that the behavior they're being encouraged to have is because these behaviors primes them and makes them more conducive to carrying entities on them. Hypersexualization is a behavior that makes you prone to carrying entities, and sex demons are one of the first ones that you're gonna get, and it makes you prime and ready to carry the other ones. So you're gonna always find people where it's like they're hypersexualized, they're always cheating in a relationship, and then it becomes part of the culture. So then you see a rapper and he has 12 kids, 9 kids, and it's just part of what happens when you're in that space. It just becomes the life that you live, and they make it normal, but it's not normal. It's not normal to live that way. There are women who are like that as well. People who can't keep money in their hands, people who anytime they touch this dirty money, people who are very violent, people who can just kill people with no remorse and feel nothing. All of these energies, they make that lifestyle possible. So they want you in that sort of energy. They want you in the lowest sort of vibration that you could be in. When you listen to this music, the music is always promoting some sort of like cantankerous sort of attitude, always fighting, always gossiping, always, cause stirring up, tension between people. It's not positive. It's not a positive experience. And I know now that all of that is being done on purpose to keep people in cycles where it keeps them binded to these energies, because the minute somebody comes in and they start talking about pulling yourself from this toxic environment, settling down in a relationship, being married to just one person and being faithful and all of that, then you start thinking too clearly. You start realizing, what am I doing this for? Your rational mind, your intuition starts kicking in, and God gets a window, God gets an opportunity to touch you, to pull you back and say, like, you're not supposed to be here. You're wasting away your life. You're paying with your life force. The money that you're given is not money that can grow. It comes in one hand and it slips out the other. It's not money you can plant with. It's not money you can build anything with. So I used to ask myself, like, why I find myself in the situations. Is it because I'm too understanding, etc.? And, I've just come to the conclusion that I had to see the things that I saw. So there were four phases is what I wrote here. 4 phases of going through my gang stalking journey. I could break it down to like 100 phases if I want to, but there are really 4 core phases that I can say. So the first one would be what I would call my Christ walk, which was being bullied so badly by someone who has no empathy in their body. Somebody who cannot feel compassion for anyone. And someone who definitely put everybody who came in contact with them under some sort of domination to be in the same sort of energy that they were in. Whether or not these people believe it or not, I saw the devil in them all the time. I went to events and I saw the devil in them. I saw sadness in them. I saw people, many, many people, who had nothing behind their eyes. They were zombies. They were just walkers. I've seen people that this guy has been sort of like driving around, if you will. And when I say nothing behind the eyes, I mean like their vessel is being, something's riding their vessel. Something's looking at me and it's not them. The first time I saw that was when I was gonna go see my last store location, and he couldn't get anyone to come. Maybe he could, maybe he couldn't, but there was I assume it was a Mexican construction worker that peeked out from between the buildings right when I was shaking hands with the property manager and getting the keys. I looked over. No, I wasn't shaking hands. I was taking pictures of the building and I was very happy. And I looked over because you can feel his presence, this presence up here right now. You can feel this presence. And I looked over and something was looking through this person's eyes at me, and it wasn't, you can see it. I'm gonna find a scene from a movie and I'm gonna post a clip so you can see what I'm talking about. This guy was no longer in his vessel. Okay. There was another time where I was talking to someone, and somebody that I cared about a lot, a friend, and this guy's very affectionate in a very platonic way, so it was nothing like that, but he's always like, hey, how are you? And he's Christian, and we'd always talk about like scripture and spirituality and stuff like that. And he was giving me a hug, and this energy, it's like this energy doesn't like people around me, like wants to fight off everybody. And this guy in particular used to irritate him. And somebody drove up and asked for directions just to get a look at his face. And they drove up, and I knew it was John Ferrer behind that person's eyes. That person drove off. There was another time a girl came to my store and had to shoo her off. She came under the guise of talking about she wants to rent space in my store. And when she came in there, I was like, girl, get out of my store. She's like, I want to buy something. I'm like, get the fuck out of my store now. I don't care. I was this close to like having words with this girl. because she was gaslighting. She was being John. She was just asking stupid questions for the sake of, but didn't this, but how do you deal with it? I don't like engaging with this energy, so I ignore it. And that's a safe place for it to be and for me to be, is to just to ignore it. It likes my attention, like direct, like communication and stuff. And I don't, it's best not to. This is like satanic energy. This is not your run of the mill witch. John Ferreira initially was your run of the mill witch, doesn't really know anything, but this energy riding now is no longer riding, it's driving. It's driving the bus. The bus has two wheels left. Half of the bus is scraping on the side of the road. There's no steering wheel. It's just something like this, and it's just like turning it like that. It's a disaster. And John's at the back, holding on for his dear life, crying and freaked out. I've seen it for myself. In the ethers, some people can shapeshift depending on what's riding them, okay? Depending on what they're tapping into. Certain energies can, people, they don't just go astral traveling, they can shapeshift. He's cloaked in my ex's energy, so he looks like my ex up there, but the energy has him bound. He has no use of his limbs, he can't move, and it has his mouth bound as well. And there's just tears coming down. It's like he's mute, he's stuck. And oddly enough, the symbol of this entity, the binding on the hands and the feet, the binding on that is the exact same tattoo that they all have in the cartel, all of them. Because when guys used to come into my store with that it was the same tattoo. I'm gonna draw it right now. It looks like, and I'm probably not gonna get it right, but it looks like interweaving branches, kind of like this. Like, this is not accurate if you can see. It's like, this doesn't make sense, but imagine vines or branches that are just grow in an interweaving manner. That's what it looks like. That's what it looks like. And they have this tattoo, and some of them, it has like flames of fire under it as well. I'm gonna find, it bothers me, so I need to know what it is. It's gonna come to me. It's gonna come to me. And that is why I'm gonna pull my cards now. I have this interest in demonology because I want to know who this entity is that keeps harassing me. I say it's Satan, I say it's Lucifer, I don't know for sure. But it's something, it's very much something, and I don't know what it is. So I remember when I saw the tattoo, the last time I saw it was where this guy came into my store. He was wearing shorts. He came in with his wife. And I asked him about the tattoo. I said, hey, I like your tattoo. What is that? He said, I don't know. I said, you got a tattoo and you don't know what that is? He's like, I got it with friends of mine years ago. I said, how long ago? He said something like 2013 or 2018 or something like that. And I said, well, why did you get it? He's like, he was drunk. They went out drinking and they pushed him to get it. And I said, oh, that's cool. And then I said, he said they were going to get me to like put fire flames or whatever on top of it, but I thought that was too much and I just didn't want to do it. And I said to myself, this guy doesn't even know that he's been branded. And from there, I used to call it the mark of the beast because that's what I think it is. And I've been Googling the mark of the beast, but this is not on Google, but I know I'm going to find it because I said I am. Every time I say I'm going to find something, I'm going to find something. But anyway, so there's been a lot of stuff that I've seen, probably more things than they're truly comfortable. Probably something that they're truly, a lot more than they're truly comfortable with me actually knowing, for sure. If they knew all the things that I knew, they'd be a lot more uncomfortable than they are right now. And I mean right now today with this video. But I'm gonna find it. I want to know what entity that is, because it's something. But anyways, there was my Christ walk, and then I had my enlightenment phase, which was showing me that everybody is a victim. Everybody here is a victim. The people that think they're not victims, everybody's a victim. Once you invite these energies in, they never leave. They just body hop. Once they get up here, they start body hopping between one money hungry person to the next. Doesn't matter who's at the top of the food chain. Like John Ferrer said, everybody's paranoid. That's how it is. Nobody trusts anybody, and they can't. It's a toxic environment on purpose because that's what these energies bring. That's how it is. So I'm not going to sit here and think that, see, the same cards keep coming up anytime I pull this deck. It's Asmodeus, Beelzebub, Baphomet, and Lucifer. The same ones come up. They don't really have they have symbols, but not like the one that I saw. But anyway, I'm not going to do this while I'm on live right now. After my enlightenment phase, I've had my healing phase. And, you know, I guess the fourth phase of it is the phase of just telling people what I know. I like to say teaching people, but I don't know if I necessarily see myself as that, because I am also in skin. And I think that's something that people have to remember. You're a human being as well. You have to consult everything that you're feeling with your higher self. Everything that you're hearing, it has to sit well in your being. Or like, really, what is the point? You know, like, people are gonna lead you astray. Even with me, it doesn't matter how much I love a reader. I also know that nobody's under more attack than readers, and not all their readings will be accurate. Sometimes to the best of their ability, they may just be attacked, and things may come to them, and the source might be a little bit skewed. And so everything has to pass through. I pass everything through my personal filters. But, you know, I'm human as well. So I feel like it's each one teach one. I've learned some of my lessons just from life itself, not from anyone teaching me. Actually, I learned all my lessons from life itself and from observation. You know, so I'm just coming to pass things, information back. The first thing that I can say is, if you're being gang stalked, you need to understand that you are in your Christ walk. No matter how you feel about it, if you give up, the only way to be stuck in this is by giving up. And so that's why it's important for you, that you do not endure no matter what. It's important that they have no survivors of this ever. That's why they go so crazy. That's why they use all this energy. That's why they cannot afford for anyone to get out of this. They cannot afford okay, this one is weird. So look at this card that I just pulled. I'm gonna try to remember what I was talking about. This one is called Aureus. By the way, this is a demonology deck. It's an occult deck. And you kind of see the bottom of this. The bottom of it kind of looks like an octopus with tentacles in a sense. I don't know if you can see that. An octopus with tentacles. It kind of looks like that, but like not really. But listen to what this does. This is Aureus. It teaches astrology, the virtues of the stars and the houses of the planets, and how to understand them. Transforms men with dignities. Finds favor with friends and foes. I don't know. It seems like something that someone would have use for, I guess. I gotta find it. Maybe it's not in this deck, but I'm definitely gonna find it. And by the way, even though this is a deck, a demonology deck, not all of them have things that they do that are necessarily bad. They definitely give you information for sure. But anyway, let me not digress. This gang stalking journey is something that needs to be survived. You're going through your Christ walk, and it's probably very appropriate that I would talk about this during Easter. You know, this is a time where, you know, obviously it shouldn't be just about, you know, making Easter dinner or eating It's really about going through the death and rebirth journey. And that's what the whole story of Jesus Christ was about dying metaphorically and birthing yourself again. And it's not easy, and it doesn't matter what phase of life you're in. It doesn't matter what exactly your death looks like. It's going to be different for everyone. So for me, what did that look like? It was a full transformation. My transformation was things like looking beyond Christianity, because I grew up again in a very like religious, well, spiritual household. Looking beyond religion, letting go of old ideas, stepping into, and you know what? I had gotten hints about this so many times. A psychic told me about this, that as I got older, I would look into more into spirituality. I saw it in my birth chart a couple times, but only very specific birth charts, not all of them. I've had another psychic tell me that. Like, it's just, I knew this was the path I had to take, but sometimes you really cling to your personal beliefs. And it's a change in, it's having that spiritual awakening that is going to save you. And you can't deny that path. And God has done so much up until this point to prime me and get me ready, because it was critical to me surviving this, to believe in things and forces outside of myself, to believe in the things that I was seeing, to believe in the spiritual component of it. And when you put yourself in a situation where you're telling yourself you do not believe, that is a witch's best case scenario, I promise you, because you are helpless by not believing. And I cannot stress it more. Everybody who didn't believe me that I was being gang stalked ended up being gang stalked themselves and swallowed up in this whole thing. So first things first, when you're going on your Christ walk, you need to be able to die. You got to give up. Everybody in this situation here, gang stalking me, is going through a Christ walk. Everybody. You got to kill the old version of yourself. You have to let go of the old people that you have been around, people that you've surrounded yourself with. Oh my God, what is that smell? Lord have mercy. Smells like sewage. Smells like feces. My God. Ugh, what is that? We know what that is. But anyway, you gotta go through this. Now, this is gonna be tough. For people being gang stalked, it's gonna be tough. You're gonna have to birth a version of yourself you've never met before. When I went through my transformation and I finally got to the point where I was gonna heal, I didn't know myself. I'm not joking. I didn't know myself, because there were things that I would do and say that I would be like, whoa, old me would never handle the situation like that. And it was, I can't even remember an example to tell you, but I realized at some point that I would have to like get to know myself. And it's funny because that's a thing that we say, and that's how I got into spirituality anyway. That's how Eckhart Tolle used to talk. He's like, if you say you have to get to know yourself, then there must be more than one entity there. Who is you and who is the self that you need to know? There must be more than one entity there. So this is the thing, is how many entities can your vessel hold? The truth is a lot. You can hold on to a lot of entities on your vessel, not just one. You yourself are a portal. Your body is a portal. The body plus the consciousness is a portal. So you can also be a portal for your ancestors. You can be a portal for angels. You can be a portal for higher vessels, but it's like you get to decide with the energy that you hold and the vibration that you stay in. You get to decide what you're capable of holding. you have to, with their assistance, birth a new version of yourself to get out of this situation. This is what happens. This is technically what happens. Maybe I need to delete the old video. Maybe I need to go more in depth with it. Once somebody cloaks in your energy and kind of cloaks in your essence, in order to get out of the situation, you need to birth yourself into a new individual to leave. So in the spirit, you don't even look like the old version of you. The version of you before you spiritually awaken looks like this. Like in the spirit, I would look like this, like myself. Once you spiritually awaken, I don't have to look like this anymore. I can look like, and I don't think I necessarily control what I look like, but I know some of the things I look like. And it depends on the energy that I'm in, what I look like. If I'm in dark energy, I look one way. If I'm in a healing energy, I look one way. And this is not for everybody. You know, maybe not everybody's gonna have this kind of spiritual awakening. But I feel like, why? Why would you not want to? Just to not believe? You really came here and that's it? You're satisfied with like going shopping and celebrating holidays and going on vacation, and every year rinse repeat, and they give you a blueprint. So at 20 you do this, and at 30 you do this, and this is your life phase. And like, why do we want to live that way? Why don't we want to tap into the other stuff? Because there's a whole world out there, and the spiritual world is extremely fascinating, and it's nothing like what they tell you it is. There is no, it's like, it's not necessarily bad and good. Demonic energies can do good things and help in a good way. And I'm not going to say angels. I've never really personally encountered an angel that was no good, to be honest. So I can't speak on that, but it's vast. There's a lot. And as soon as you tap into it, you now have a greater capacity to change what happens to you in the physical. So let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. When I first got into tarot, I used to listen to this reader. I'm going to tag her. Her name is Daughter of Kali, and I fell in love with her readings. I started first with astrology, just reading, like, learning a lot about the signs. So really learning the characteristics, what it means to have a sign in your chart, like just learning, but it was tropical astrology. And then it led me to her page, and I just used to listen. She's a spiritual warfare reader. And I used to read her readings, and it was just entertaining. And I was going through a very rough breakup from my ex, the same ex. And I just used to come home, and it used to take my mind off of what was going on. And she'd just talk about things like, but it was weird. Some of it was like, girl, what? But it was like, it was like a soap opera. It was entertaining enough that I could skip over the parts that were like, when they talked about like, you know, angels or demons or all stuff like that. It was like, I could skip over it just to get to the good part. So she'd do these really long readings, and I just want to read it. Little did I know this was applying to my situation, and there came a time where it was just like, whoa, this is incredibly detailed. So it was to the point that I would make my kids read it. I'm like, listen, just read this thing and tell me what, and my kid would be like, whoa, who is she talking about? But I'm like, it can't be about me, because I don't know this girl. I don't know, like, so I'm going through, and this is years before. So I'm going through this, and I'm listening to this reader, and she's talking about Kali Ma. And I look into Kali Ma, and Kali Ma is a demonic energy, is how she's being, or a dark feminine goddess. That's how I'm going to describe her. I'm not going to say a demonic energy, a dark feminine goddess. But it's like, the way she's describing it, and I can remember when I was much younger, I was like so young. I was like maybe like 14, and I used to call myself like a Cali bud, but with a K, Kalibud. And then I remember this one person's like, why did you call yourself a Cali bud? And I was like, I don't know. And I was just like, it was just cute because my name starts with K. And then they're like, do you know Cali bud is like a strain of weed? And I'm like, no. They're like, yeah, but with a C. And I was like, I had no idea. And it's so crazy because when I started interacting with her on Twitter, I used to call her a Cali bud. And it's funny because it's like all of these energies, all of these things I've constantly been attracted to, have always been attracted to Hinduism and stuff like that. And it's just like always been attracted to elephants, seriously used to dream about elephants and stuff. And then here I go. I often This is Ganesh, and I often think about this energy. And I wouldn't say I like just listen to like little rituals on YouTube and stuff like that, but it's just like those kind of things that used to happen that were just kind of like, I don't know if it was coincidence, I don't know what it was, but this is a Kali Ma deck that I'm holding, and this is what Kali looks like in this deck. Different versions of Kali. And I guess this is supposed to be, if you're not truly, I guess if you're still in a mindset where you're scared of these images, you're scared of the image of like a skeleton or a skull or what someone would call a demon and stuff like that, like, yeah, this would seem kind of like, you know, demonic or whatever to you. But if you're in gang stalking, these energies and worse than that are already around you anyway. People pray to Kali Ma to do negative things. They pray to Kali Ma to do positive things and to help them out. It really just depends on, this is more so what her general illustration looks like. But you know, when you're, you know, I encourage people to look into it. I encourage people to look beyond Christianity. But this is what I was gonna say before I got sidetracked. Because I wanted to talk about Kali because the deck was in my hand. So this reader, she used to talk about cloaking in someone's energy, and I was like, what the hell is that? Like, I didn't know that people could do that. And so when I seen astrically that this person was cloaked in my ex's energy, I knew this wasn't my ex. I could tell that this wasn't my ex, but astrally, that's what he looks like. So it's like they bind you in the spirit, they marry you to them, they cloak in your energy, and it's like, so this is my rough sort of explanation as to how, because these people here, they attack soul contracts. And I think this is more to do than just the cartel. This is more to do with, there's this brotherhood that John Ferrer is either a part of or wanted to be a part of or engaged in some way that assists with the gang stalking. He went to these people as well. This brotherhood. And anyway, what they do, what they did is they like spiritually cloaked in my energy. So the person who wanted to keep my ex over where my ex was cloaked in my energy and was appearing almost as me. And then John Ferrer cloaked in my ex's energy and was kind of, so it's like when he comes to me in the physical, I would associate him or I would see him in the way that I see my ex, which never happened because I already had experience with being, with having spell work done on me, having a love spell done on me. I'd already gone through that. So I knew what that looked like. So I can experience that and know what is going on, that it's not real, and repel that energy back. And to be honest with you, I wish I never did. Oh my God, I wish I never did. I would have never learned the lessons that I had to, and if I didn't though. People go crazy when you return a love spell back, and they in there they really believe that that's how it works. They really believe it, and I don't know if he can clean off or not. I pray he does. Maybe when the time is right, they'll clear it off of him. I don't know, but it's been a lot of energy to have to put up with, to deal with someone who thinks that they're in love with you and it's not real. And so they're just perceiving you as running away from them. So what amplifies this obsession more is that if it's a very special soul contract, if it's like you know, soulmates, if people that are supposed to be together, and then you cloak in that energy and a love, you have a love spell on you, and you think this person is like your twin flame or your soulmate, then it's going to be that much amplified. The grief, the agony, the pain of separation is going to be amplified that much more. It's suffering because you feel like you can't live without this person. And it's something that like other people are not going to understand. So one time there was this reader on Twitter. I knew he did something. I knew he did something. There was this reader on Twitter who she did readings where it was like not all readers are the same. Some readers can see some things and some just see surface level. Surface level readers see the cloaking. So when they do the reading, they will describe a karmic energy as a twin flame. That's a surface level reader. Then there are readers who can see underneath the cloaking. They can see that this energy is just cloaked. Now, astrally, when someone is cloaking in an energy, they look identical, but their energy and their aura is different. So you can feel, you have to feel who's different. One is the authentic one is the fake one. I've seen people cloak in other people's energy all the time. So there's some readers who don't know if the energy is cloaked or not. And there was one reader on Twitter, and she did a reading, and it was describing how the person who was cloaked in the energy feels. And it was like, I'm going to summarize the reading. It basically said something like, I need all of this. And this is from the person who was cloaked, saying that they're very confused. They need all of the conflict to end so that they can describe, they can work out what they're feeling. They don't understand what they're feeling. They feel like this person is their soulmate. You know, they're not sure. You know, it's very conflicting energy. They don't want to fight anymore, etc., etc. And I knew that was how he was feeling. I knew for sure that was how he was feeling, because you can just see it. You can see it in his eyes. He was getting confused with the job that he was supposed to be doing. And the readings were saying it themselves that somebody felt like the spiritualist that they sent in, the assassin, fell in love with the person that they were supposed to get rid of. This is just a situation where everything that could have gone wrong went wrong, honestly. Everything that could have gone wrong in this situation went wrong. That's why I got this deck. I have these decks. They're called Seasons of the Witch. And I have the Beltane, and now I have the Samhain Oracle, and this card just really, like, I feel like, anyways, I'll show you guys this cards after. Anyway, that's what happened. So, you know, this person's going through a lot. Being under a love spell is bad enough, but being under this kind of love spell is insane. It's crazy. All I can do, I really don't like sympathizing with these type of energies, but in a sense I kind of sympathize, because it's too much. Having entities riding you, multiple entities, being under a love spell, your life is coming undone, people are threatening you, you're losing things. What? It's crazy. How is a person supposed to like even wake up in the morning and like see straight? But this is what's happening. And spiritually, it's like, if you don't believe in things spiritually, then how on earth are you going to be able to spiritually decipher what you're going through? This is a spiritual battle. This is, gang stalking is implementing a lot of spiritual energies. This is not just somebody following you around. That is the simplest part of it. They could have done all this to you without even gang stalking you and binded up your life. This is what I tried to explain as root work. This card I just found, rooted. It's being stuck. Hold on, let's see if it's being stuck. It's being rooted down. It's being tied down. It's like trying to, when they do root work on you, it's like not easy to break it off. Like, this is something God has to come take you out of. It's like pulling a tree out of the ground. Do you know how far down these roots go? So it's like when people do I don't think root work is like easy stuff or simple stuff. Maybe it might be easy to people doing it, but people who do root work can like do some crazy stuff. I don't think they're just simple witch doctors that do that stuff. Root work is something that you have to be like, I think people pass that down in families. I don't think it's stuff that you just learn out of the clear blue sky. You know, this is what's happened to you. Your life has been rooted. Whether you want to believe it or not, your life has been rooted. And you have to learn the sacred way to get out. Whether you want to believe it or not is up to you, because it is your life. But you know somewhere inside of you that something very spiritual is happening. You know somewhere inside of you that this is not just people following you around and they go home at night. If people follow you around and they go home at night, then why are you so uncomfortable in your house? They are doing so much stuff to you, you have no idea. People are able to manipulate your destiny. People are able to take spiritual gifts from you, do a lot of things. So what they did by cloaking in me and my ex's energy, it's almost like they stole a contract with the universe. And that's what stealing a person's destiny looks like. It's stealing a contract with the universe. Whatever it was that your path was supposed to be, somebody comes in and they take that from you. And then they try to actualize it, not in favor of God, but in favor of themselves. And so they came together and they said that they would steal this away from us and that they would use it to their own benefit and they would use it for whatever they wanted to use it for. And now they're facing the consequences of that and they're blaming me for it, saying that I'm doing witchcraft. But they're facing the consequences of stealing from energies that they do not have a hope. This is why he went and got that super... Do you want to get out, Olive? Do you want to come up? Come. This is why... Come. This is why they had to get that super strong energy to try to protect them, because they don't have a hope or a prayer of getting out of the kind of karma that is coming down. I think it was crazy. I think it was the equivalent of trying to catch the sun. It was like someone saying we can catch the sun and everybody hopping on the bandwagon and thinking that they can do it because they caught a few people here and there and it worked out before. And that's why this was a trap the entire time. There are a couple of basic things you have to do with starting this journey of, I'm not going to have enough time to go through all of the notes that I had here. So I'm just going to do the spiritual component of it since I've made this spiritual anyway. Hold on, my cat's standing by the door because she's not going to relax until I let her out. She's going to start making noise. Come, Olive. Okay. She waits until I get on live, and that's where she wants to like come out. She doesn't want to. Okay, so let me just go over the spiritual components of how you'd like to start. First things first, prayer. We are not of any particular denomination at this time, okay? You can have energies that are represented by any religion come in to help. I am of no particular religion myself, so I have the Madonna, which is a manifestation of the universe, or a statue or physical manifestation of the universe, a mother. But mother has many different manifestations, physical or apparitions, I guess you can say, representations. The Madonna is the most widely accepted one, who's the Virgin Mary, who's considered the mother of God. In my language, we call her Mama Die. So she is, that's just one manifestation. The cloaked, hooded figure that looks like a Grim Reaper, that's another manifestation. So she comes in a lot of different forms. So that's one. But then again, there's also like Ganesh, there's also Shiva, there's just different energies. And for me, I'm not particular with either one. It's not what that's about for me. But you have to start where you need to start. So prayer can start wherever it needs to start. But I would say prayer and meditation, I've talked about this so much, and I started with talking about it just as like I suggest you do this, and I'm literally evolving this conversation into there's no way around it. You need to quiet your mind. You need to pray. Who exactly you're praying to, I can't tell you who you're going to be praying to. When I started meditating, I didn't know who and what I was going to find. I didn't think I was going to find anything, actually. I thought I was just quieting my mind. What needs to find you will find you. If you're on the live, there is some energy that's pushed you to find the live in the first place. Sorry, let me just close this door. It's a bit of noise out here. Who and what you find is completely up to you and your guides and your path. I wouldn't overthink it. When I started meeting different energies, I wanted to know their names, and mother was like, you don't really, not now. But in time I did. If I had probably, if I had started reading cards too early, like in my teens, I was in high school and I bought my first deck. If I had started reading cards too early and I had met this energy too early, I would have been freaked out. I would have been terrified. I'd be like, oh my God, I tapped into the devil. That's how I would feel. I would be terrified. But you have to feel these energies and you have to be ready. And she came right on time. I always knew she was there. To see her physically, to know that she was real in this way, it was right on time. So you definitely need the spiritual component. You need to start praying and praying very seriously, because these people have your life binded up and knotted up in a tougher way than you know. That's how they get such access to your spirit. That's how they get such access, that they can physically make you uncomfortable that you're feeling it. But everything that you're feeling is activating you spiritually. It's not meant to take you out or hurt you. It's just activating you. It's just making you more spiritually aware. It's making you a believer, if you will. So you can't stagnate your mind and stop right there in the course of what you're going through. I talk obviously about like basic forms of spiritual cleansing to cleanse your space. So I talk about the sage, I talk about crystals. I think there's a crystal for everything. It is my personal opinion, but there probably is a crystal for everything. Learn about your chakras, learn about as much spiritual stuff as you can, as you want to. Within the framework of what is comfortable for you. You don't need to push yourself to where you're not comfortable. If you are not comfortable with certain energy, by all means don't go. I wasn't comfortable with everything right away up front. You will need some type of holy book. You don't necessarily need to, but I suggest it. I have a Bible, even though I'm not necessarily, like, I don't fit into just Christianity. I have a Bible. Most witches do. Just gonna tell you that much. So the Bible doesn't mean much. Okay. I keep saying it, but I would love to get a Quran. So it's not about that. It's every energy. No religion has really a different idea than the other. They're all kind of saying the same thing. They're just battling for like market share, but it's like more or less the same thing. But it helps to have a book, something that is non-digital, something that you can hold in your hands as tangible, that you can go ahead and read different things. Things can come to you. Sometimes you just open the page and you see something that you were supposed to see. I talk about salt baths. I talk about salting your home. When you salt the parameter of your living space, meaning access to like entries of doors and windows, these are portals in and out of your house. When you do all of that, it weakens the energies that come in and out. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. Everybody that takes this oath to be in the cartel or whatever, it's almost like part of the suit that they get is a monitoring spirit. So this is an energy that they put on this person, and they know what this person is doing. So they know when this person falls in love. They know when anything significant is happening. They send some sort of a monitoring spirit to this person. So the monitoring spirit will not cross the salt barrier. Kid you not, the way my store is, the ceiling were like 40 feet high, but there was glass for like the top 20 feet, I want to say. Actually, a lot of the walls were just like all glass. Oh, that's Jasmine. Okay, so anybody in here, that's Jasmine, Goddess Guidance. You guys need to go follow her. Hey, boo. This girl, I sit back and I wait for her readings. I don't know if she's posted the weekend wine yet, but I'm going to check it out when she posts it. But let me not get off of topic. So the upper 20 feet of my store is all glass. And this one girl came into my store, and I really wanted to use her for decoration of my store. I was having a grand opening, and I really wanted her to do the grand opening, the balloons, whatever. I was willing to do whatever to get this girl on board. And she was telling me that before she used to sell drugs, and first of all, I never knew girls could sell drugs. Like, again, naive. I just found this out like 2 years ago, a year ago, last year. I never knew that girls could. So she's telling me this, and my jaw's on the floor. And she's like, but I learned my lesson, and I got out of it, and I got married to this guy, and blah, blah, blah. But anyway, so she's in the space. I had already salted my entire store. Like heavy, thick layers of salt all around the interior of the store. And so she comes in, but from the corner of my eye, I can see the energy kind of like outside in the glass. And the energy is like upset. Like it wants to come in, but it can't. But it's just watching from the outside. It's watching from the glass. And so it's watching us, and it keeps pacing. And this is what it looks like, and I kid you not, it looks like Casper the ghost, but black. Like all black, but it has, like, you can see but it's furious, it's angry, and the eyes are not white, it's like red. And it just is like and it's like floating around on the top. It looks like a sperm, a black sperm. And it's floating around on the top. And she's standing next to me, and she has another energy on her, and that energy feels like it's spraying on me, like it's like spraying water. That's how you feel it. And that's how you feel sometimes when that one energy that I feel on a lot of them, it feels like it attacks you. And then there's this other energy that makes your eyes water, and your eyes get red, and it's like you get headaches, and it's like you got to get away from it. And it's like, so many times in my life, I've been around people that are carrying these energies, and I can't be around them because I feel like they're attacking me, and I'm just like, why is the energy on this person attacking me? And I never knew that was a demonic spirit. But people that are in drugs specifically, and I feel like it's something, I don't know if it's street drugs, I don't know if it's like they're just drug mules, I don't know what it is, but people in that culture always have one of these three on them. The monitoring spirit always, but there's always the one where you sit next to them, you feel it, and it's like dipping your hands in water and just like flicking water on someone. That's how you feel it, but it's like it bothers you. And if they sit next to you and there's water on the table, the entire glass of water will bubble up. Like the energy will get trapped in the water, and I got to get away from them. And then the other one where it's like in no time your eyes are red. You can't even keep your eyes open. Your eyes are watering. And I felt this energy multiple times around multiple people. The same girl, In another live, I was talking about this girl came to my place and she was talking about, oh, she just got into traveling and this and that. And I found out that she's one of them. It happened with her with the watery eyes thing. But there are monitoring spirits that they put on these people. And these spirits follow these people around. And that's how they get access to your energy. That's how they know that you're around someone. That's how they knew that I was around my ex, and that's how they knew a lot of things. Like they tap into your energy, they get access to your energy, you know, and then before you know it, now they want to recruit you, now they want to, like, you're getting gang stalked and all this kind of stuff is happening. But it is a very, the things that were happening to me, I could have fallen victim to everything that was going on had I not opened my mind up to taking this spiritual walk and having this spiritual journey. Had I not opened my mind up to maybe an egg cleanse might work, maybe a spiritual bath might work, maybe this might work, maybe something as simple as salting up the parameter of my house is important. Maybe that actually would work. Let me tell you, the first time I salted up the parameter of my house, I slept like a baby. It was peaceful. And then I went as far as salting up around my bed. Now, at first it was around my bed, it was getting messy. I just went to the lining underneath the bed and salted there, and I slept peacefully every night. And when my sleep started getting interrupted again, I knew it was time to change the salt. Now, was it weird when handymen and people came into the house and they're like, what the hell is that? Yes, it was weird, but you know, it's my house and it is what it is. They're gonna have to deal with it. But there is so much, like, I use sage in not just saging myself or saging my home when I'm having issues with things, because people will tap into your energy, sense that you're working on something, and send you negative energy. So now your emails don't want to sign in, the printer doesn't want to work, the new machine you bought. I take sage and I sage it right off. Instantly it works. Oh, the stove's having an issue, we're gonna sage the stove. Like, these are the things that people do that are manipulative. Like, they want to get into my home, they want access to my home, and they might want to send somebody with a monitoring spirit on them into the home so they drop some energy off. And it's like, now you got to call in a handy person for whatever reason. You got to call someone to do the stove, to do the fridge, to do whatever. You have to look at yourself. Like, you have to have a mind that is open enough to find the solutions. The police are not coming to help you. Lawyers cannot help you. Politicians cannot help you. This is a spiritual battle. They're battling you in spiritual means. Nobody came to your house and, like, beat you up. They're destroying your life spiritually. And as I've always said, as above, so below. So if you're not allowing your mind and your eyes to open spiritually to be able to tap into that world, for whether it's your ancestors or whoever it is you call God to step in and to show you what's going on and what you need to do, you don't even know where the solutions are. And you're not allowing yourself to be led to wherever the solutions are. One of the things, and every day I kind of inch it a little bit more and give better advice, like, not better advice, but more spiritual advice. One of the things that I talk about and I keep talking about, and it's on my list, is a home altar. I took the home altar as way less important than it has turned out to be. Going through my spiritual journey, I was just doing things that I was being led from just being fascinated with what I was experiencing. And so I was too scared to put up a picture of my grandmother because I knew people were in and out of my house. And I didn't want them to try to take my grandmother's picture and try to work on her or anything. Like, I wasn't sure. But I had a space on the vanity in my room set up to her, and I would put on her favorite fruits. And I wasn't really necessarily changing food often, but like I said, if it was her birthday or if it was we were celebrating like a mini win or something, I would put a glass of wine, a glass of champagne, some fruits, a little dessert, something there, and I would pray to her, and it would be in honor of her, and it would be thanking her for being with me in this tough journey, letting her know, I saw what you did today, I know it was you, etc., etc. but I wasn't consistent about it. Sometimes I would fall off, all of this type of stuff. The only things that I really didn't fall off of was even crystals. I wasn't as consistent with changing them, with cleaning them. Saging, the house was way too big. I couldn't sage the way that I wanted to all the time. I was too exhausted. The altar was kind of here or there. It took for me coming to a place of peace and for me to be away from all of that to realize, no, this altar is every day you need to tend to it. Every day you need to, every week you're doing a salt bath at a minimum. All the things that I was doing here or there, I started taking the crystals more seriously, looking more into the crystals. So it was almost like I was being given the solutions, and then I got to the point where I could put everything together. So a lot of the lives that I do is just really talking about giving people the knowledge of how to take all of these different solutions, put them together to address different places that you're being attacked. You're not just getting attacks in your environment of energy that's being sent in. You're getting body attacks. They're attacking your health. You're going to fall sick. And they don't want you to just fall a little sick. They want you to be like terminally ill. These people are trying to get rid of you. And that is not a joke. You're going to get attacks on your vehicle. I've been sitting in my car with my daughter and the car won't start. And then we pray, and then all of a sudden the car starts. I'm talking about like we're starting the car over and over. It's not start. As soon as the prayer is done, try it again, the car is starting. And you're like, I've seen too much and I know what's going on. They're attacking your finances. They're attacking your job slash business. They are attacking everything that makes you you. And they can have a deeper means into your life to attack you this way because you're not spiritually awakened yet. So you are the old version of yourself. And that version is easy to dominate. It's like attacking a child. So in a lot of the readings, they describe you as a child. They'll talk about there's a problem with a child, this and that. You're spiritually a child. And once you grow up, and I even have a deck here that talks about, and I'll see if I could find the card. It talks about, it's like whenever I read this deck, it's like always, it's like God is telling me, this is the deck. It's called, this is a card. It's called Growing Up. And it says, wanting to grow and experience rejection of perpetual youth. And there's another one in here too, where it's basically saying like, it's like I can't go back to the past because do I miss the days of being happy all day? Do I miss the days of being in a high vibration where I wasn't having any challenges that was challenging me being my happy-go-lucky self? Of course. I was the nicest person ever because I was always happy. People liked being around me. Now I get attacked all the time. And when when you get spiritually attacked and people start sending spell work at you, people start coming into your dreams, it's gonna piss you off. It is a very ridiculous thing to have to constantly fight like this. Me talking like this, I get attacks just while I'm doing it. It's like people don't want me to. This information has to be important if they don't even want you to come online and tell people this. And the girl that just came in my live, I don't know if she's still here, Jasmine, it's Goddess Guidance. She's one where some of her attacks, I hate to say it, babe, if you're in here, some of your attacks are definitely because of the stuff you've said. Like these people will have something planned for the very near future. And this girl comes online and she says what's about to happen. And I'm like, oh, and I get to the point where I'm like, I know what's about to happen. I know they're going to be pissed off at her because she consistently ruins plans and she doesn't know it. So there was one time that I was supposed to watch her reading, but it was a bit long and I had something to do and I ignored it. And then I got into some sort of confrontation and she had warned about the confrontation before it was going to happen. And after that, I'm like, no. So even today I was supposed to go live and I wanted to go live early And then I was gonna watch her reading after, and I was like, nah, I gotta watch the live early because I want to see what she's talking about. I feel like I need to know. There was another time I was watching something and she's like, oh, they want to get in contact with you, they want to do this or that. And then as soon as she said that, my Instagram got reported. I couldn't access the account. Like all kinds of nonsense was happening. I was like, okay, yes. So they really, she really messed up some sort of plan that was about to happen. And that's the thing too, is like with this spiritual journey, it is so surreal when you're just waking up because things are happening and you're like, am I being punked? Is this the gang stalkers? Are they arranging this? And then you're sitting back and you're like, there's no way. The synchronicities are heavy. A lot of things are happening that, like, magic is the only way to explain it. There's no other way to explain what's happening. And especially when things happen that the gang stalkers would not want to happen for you, because this is happening for your benefit. So tarot basically helped me through my spiritual awakening by explaining to me what was going on spiritually. And a lot of times I had to separate the spiritual from the physical, but I could see the manifestation of whatever they were doing spiritually in the physical. So you also have to be careful with tarot. There are a lot of fake readers. They know that tarot is helping people wake up. And I think this is what's happening with us. I don't know if everybody's chosen for something like people think they are. I don't know, but I just know that when tarot readers do readings, they may feel, first of all, I know what it's like when your spirit bothers you and you got to get online and you got to talk about something. I will have something completely different mapped out to talk about. I will meditate and I'll have to grab my notebook and write something totally different, and I'm having a different conversation. And in the beginning, when I didn't want to do it, my spirit would bother me. If I was hungry, I would lose all hunger, I was disturbed until I did and as soon as I got off of the live, it's like I'm just at peace. It's like my hunger comes back. I'm like back to my natural happy self. Before that, I cannot work, I cannot think, I cannot focus. I got to come on live. And it just means that there's a message that you have to give. And sometimes, like a tarot reader, you get all the trolls, you get attacked, you get all these things happening, and that is, you're losing people money. Whatever I represented being recruited as a dollar figure, people like Goddess Guidance lost those people that money. That's why you get attacked like that. It's because you're losing money for people. You're losing people contracts, agreements. When I first came on here, I had no views. It was so bad. I had under 50 subscribers, so I couldn't even go live. And then there were times where I would just think to myself, I'm like, what's the point of even doing this? Because like they were disabling my views. They were reporting my videos. I had videos with like 5 views. It was so bad. And I remember every time I would get demotivated, God would make someone come into my comment section or into the chat section on the video premiere, and it'd be like one guy in particular, he was like, oh my God, you're always right on time. And I remember that's how I felt with readers. I would literally be like, I'd be there all day and I'm struggling, and more than anything, I just needed the motivation to hear, it seems like if you don't have this resource to come and access this energy, it seems like they're always winning. It seems like they're gaining ground. And then you get online and a reader gives you an update of your situation. You're like, man, I got this. So my favorite readers, when they don't come online, and my phone was hacked, it probably still is, I would be on every day, refreshing the page, like, when is this girl gonna, and you don't want to be the person who's in the comments like, hey sis, are you gonna post a reading soon? Like, you don't want to do that, because I know that there's a process to reading. It's not just somebody's coming on here and saying whatever they want. When I first came on, I started doing my lives, I was just coming on here and just telling my story and giving hope and showing people strength. Like, you don't have to be afraid of this. And then it got to the point where it's like some days it's like if I don't come online, it's like I'm just not feeling pressure to, it's like if I did come on and I did say something, it's like it would come from me. And like today, this is not like, these things don't come from you. These comes from, I don't know what it is. Everybody is different, downloads, meditations, whatever it is, you know. But it definitely, you know, that after a while you kind of get the sense that even if it's one person, there was somebody out there that needed that word that you had to give. And I just feel like, you know, I guess sometimes they talk and they say somebody here's a tarot reader, somebody here's a healer. I don't know. I know how to heal myself. I never got sick during the entire gang stalking process, not even a cold. And that's something that they're mad about. They're pissed because that was one of the conditions. As a matter of fact, I was looking better. I was losing weight. I went through a glow up, etc. But you know, I know how to heal myself. I read cards for myself. I pull cards for myself. I don't know how people pull cards for other people, because they'll pull 4 cards and they'll tell you a very detailed story. And in my life, I could do that. I could pull 4 cards and be like, oh, and I'll show my kids. I'm like, see these 3 cards, see what they mean. This is like, but I don't know if I could do that for other people. But you know, there is some reason that you're going through this. And one of the last things I want to say, because I don't want my life to go too long and I'm at 2 hours now, but I really feel like going through this process, and like I said, I don't know if everybody's chosen for something, but you got to die out of it. You're not leaving this. If you're able to leave, you're not leaving the same person you came in. This is a spiritual awakening that is being guided and mandated. I don't know who's doing nature. I don't know what to tell you. Nature. Nobody taught me anything particular. Readers will tell you this is what's going on. This is what's going on in the energy. Who teaches you? Who taught me how to clean energy off of me? Who taught me about crystal healing? Who taught me to get an altar? Nobody. As a matter of fact, if I were watching videos online and somebody said put up an altar, I don't think, my personality, I don't think I would do it. I'd be like, listen, thanks for your insight, but the devil worship, I don't know. I don't know about all that. So I don't know what I'm inviting in my house. I'm not going to do that. Everything was self-directed. The instructions were coming from the inside. And it's so crazy because I'm not joking. I've told this story before of, in my neighborhood, I kind of had an idea of who the gang stalkers were, which houses. And I remember one morning I was on my porch with a cup of coffee. I don't even know what I was doing there. And it was like a shadow was moving in the sky. And a bunch of crows were going from one house to the other house. They'd skip one house, they'd skip 2 houses, but they would go on one house and they'd land. I'm not talking about like 20 crows. I'm talking about like 100 crows would go on a house and would sit on the house. Then they'd get up, they'd skip a house, they'd go on another house and sit on the house. Then they'd skip another one and then they'd go on another house and skip. And they did that throughout the entire neighborhood. This side of the street, the other side of the street, and the back. And I'm literally standing and I'm watching it and I don't even have time to pull my phone. And I'm in disbelief. And I'm telling you, so many things happen that I'm like, if I told people this, like, I know no one will believe me. And that's why I never talked about it I was just going through everything and I'm like, I'm not going to talk about this. People are going to think I'm crazy. No one is going to believe that. Oddly enough, every house that they stopped on was every single house that was gang stalking me. Those houses, they would have a for sale sign in front of the house for months and they would keep dropping the price and the house wouldn't sell. These were my neighbors. I'm telling you, I would have experiences of seeing dark energy come through the windows of my house and seeing a translucent figure come through and all the energy disperse. And now my neighbors, it's like, I remember I told someone who came to see me at home, I'm like, these houses are haunted. Because he's like, is your neighborhood abandoned? Like, there's no sign of life here. And I'm like, to be honest with you, I really do think I think it's haunted. My neighbors would not sleep at the house anymore. Just the husband would sleep at the house downstairs. That's the one who was hacking me. He'd sleep downstairs with all the lights on. So all night long, you'd come out at 3 o'clock in the morning and all his lights are on and he's in the living room on the floor. And you're like, why isn't he sleeping upstairs? The wife and the kid wouldn't sleep there anymore. And then it's like sometimes I'd wake up in my house. I'd wake up and I'd be telling energies to like get out of my house. And I'm not scared or anything. I'm just like, no, not here, not here. I'll tell this story. An energy walked into my room in slow motion, like gliding, like a Pokemon, like a big Pokemon. It was like yellow. I thought it was the height of one of my kids. And it comes into, and it was like an off yellow color. And it comes into the room and it's slowly walking in. I'm dead asleep. And I wake up and I'm like, hey, not in here. And I did like this. I'm like, not in here. And then I was like, who did I just talk to? And in my mind, I'm like, no, it's one of the kids. But I'm laying there and I'm like, no, it's shorter than one of my kids. And my heart starts pounding because I was like, what the hell just happened? Because I'm awake saying this. This was not me in sleep. I get up to go check. My kids are dead snoring in their rooms. This is not one of my children. So many experiences like this, and I'm sure that people going through these situations are having the same kind of experiences. And that's why everybody who's being gang stalked they always talk about religion and God, but you got to step out of the Christianity. Christianity is not necessarily wrong in what it's teaching, but I feel like it's the introductory course. I feel like it leaves a lot of stuff out, and there's a lot of stuff that you cannot get access to. And the Bible describes all of these rituals. It describes all of these things, but it's been watered down to the point of being almost useless to you. You're scared of demons, if you will, dark energies, the underworld. Like, you're scared of all of these things that you should be able to use to heal yourself, to put yourself in, to awaken yourself, And you cannot skip this level just because you're clinging to old beliefs. Like, you have to shed these ideas. Not just shed them, but just open your mind to other things. You're not walking into your destiny. Part of your destiny is going to be learning and then giving back and then seeing what comes from it. And we don't know. I don't know what my future is. I don't think, we don't know what's coming. But I had to just accept that this is my life now. And it wasn't always easy to accept that. Because I was like, wait a minute. Like, first of all, what hard mode am I playing on? I'm looking at people around me and I'm like, everybody else is playing a much easier level of life than I am. Because what do you mean I have to fight spiritually, I have to be gang stalked, and I still have to work and build a business and raise kids? Like, I'm like, wait, hold up. Who do they think I am? Like, where's all of this energy coming from? Because you get attacked all night. Like, that is when these people work on you the hardest, is at night in your sleep. And it's they violate you. They pass their place. They pass their place a lot. So, it is what it is. I'm not gonna keep going too long. This deck that I bought, I don't know why I was drawn to buy it, but it has cards like crystals and herbs, dark moon. It's kind of hard to see them. Dark moon, transformation, altar, rooted, rituals. Do you see this girl in the middle of a circle? Rituals, the underworld, potions and spells, seduction. Listen, the first time I tried to do a reading, I bought the cards. I was scared to use the cards. I tried to do a reading. It's actually this deck right here. This deck. Seasons of the Witch is what it's called, okay? And I was doing the reading, and the reading goes, you should try sex magic. I was like, oh, hell no. I put that right back. no thank you. I was like, it's not, I'm not gonna tell you guys that this is gonna be stuff that you're gonna be, it's gonna be easy to accept right away. You gotta ease into it. It's not, it's gonna be weird at first if you're coming from Christianity, which if you're black, we are very Christian, we're very Christian based like culture. It's pushing your limits of what you think is normal. You'll question yourself, and I feel like that's natural. So it is what it is. Some of this is easier to understand or to live with than others. There's candle magic here, healer, divination, and rebirth. There's a lot other cards, but I'm gonna keep it at that. But I guess that's why I bought this deck. It's taken a while for me to accept this journey, to be honest with you. It's funny because when I first got into astrology and all that, I had a phase, and I can remember, this is the last story, when I first got hacked, they took over my Instagram, and I had to get the Instagram back. And this guy made a fake page, and then the fake page that he made, it was called No Way 1019. And I took my page back by changing it because he had to, basically he'd have to change the password to my email. He'd have to do some other thing that would have taken time for me to get it back. But I got my page back, changed the password. And then I took the page he called No Way 1019 and I changed it to God's Way 1019. And then I Googled one of those pictures of like a black magic, like a spell work. So there was like candles and like one of those traditional spell books and whatever. And I changed the profile of the new Instagram page that he logged me into. I changed the picture to that. And then I remember, sorry, there's so much smoke, my nose is running. I remember when, because he was trying to be my handler. So when he got in contact with me, he's like, hey, do you believe in like not spirituality. He said like, do you believe in like witchcraft or something like that? And then I told him I was a baby witch. And he's like, what the hell is that? He sounded disgusted. No, I didn't say I was a baby. No, maybe I said I was a baby witch, or maybe I said I was a white witch or something like that. This man was like, what the F is that? Like, he was disgusted. There's like, he's like, I think that's what made him think that this was a joke. Because these people are doing heavy magic. These people, like I said, I don't think John Ferrer at that time was doing root work. If he was doing root work, I wouldn't have had time. He was doing kitchen magic, and I know it because the work was so light. I could walk through it. It was like I didn't even need crystals, cleaning, anything. He had to get into the heavier stuff because it wasn't working. It was having zero effect. I was sleeping like a baby. I was looking fresh and new. Nothing was happening. So I think that's what disgusted him, but that's what started the rumors in my city that I was a witch. I still don't know how to do spell work. I don't think what I do is spell work. I would be willing to, if somebody said it was white magic at this point. And the only reason I'm saying that is I remember I was making a joke. I talk in my head to myself all the time in my head. And I was like, I was listening to a reading and it was triggering me. And it was like, people are saying that you're a witch or whatever. And I know people were saying that in my city because people were becoming afraid of me. And I remember I said something, and the thing about me is I'm a troll. So if you say something about me, I'm gonna troll you by agreeing and taking it too far and getting under your skin. So it's like, I was like, yeah, I'm a witch. And like in my head, and I was going on with it. And mother was like, yeah, you are a witch. And I was like, no, I'm not. And then I had someone in person. I've had a psychic tell me like, you were a witch in a past life. You were a good witch. And I was like, whoa. I don't know. So I don't know. This is a journey. Take it as it is. This might be my most vulnerable live. I'm a very honest person, to be honest with you. I do not lie. I'm a lot of things, but I do not lie. But this is what it is. And people continue to call me a dark witch in my city. I feel like this guy he was intimidated by me. He was intimidated by the fact that spell work wasn't working on me and all of that. And I feel like he just wanted to sully my name because he figured maybe they pulled cards on. I'm pretty sure they pull cards on me all the time that I would be doing these lives and I would be helping people. So I'm gonna put the information out. This is not how I thought this live was gonna go when I wrote everything out. See, Mother just has her way with people. And I thought I was gonna be coming here doing an Easter live about the Christ walk, and it's taken a totally different turn. But you know, I still try to put this information out because I know people are in my city are bound up by the situation. And I was being attacked while getting this download last night because yeah, I had to like say I was up till like 3 a.m. saging and praying and doing all of this because he was going hard. Because I think it was one thing for them not to be able to recruit me, and it's a whole nother thing for me to now tell people how to leave, to now tell people how to get into their spiritual body and walk away, how to cleanse off entities and do all of this. I think this is where it takes a worse turn for him because he's the spiritualist that's supposed to keep people in line. And now he's lost a lot. And I know this would just be taking the worst turn for him to have to experience this. But that's what I'm gonna do because that's what I'm feeling compelled to do. And I'm not gonna feel uncomfortable in my body all day because I'm not honoring or lose my blessings or whatever it is. You know, I've never been disobedient, so I don't know what that's like. But that is what it's gonna be. So pray for me. These people, I am definitely a problem in this city. I am a menace. They want to get rid of me. They are sick of me because it's one thing that I am not scared, and I think they came to terms with not recruiting me already, and now it's like I'm really coming a little hard for them, and that's not my focus. That's not what I'm here for. But this was what I got today. So it is what it is. I'm gonna have to do another live about my gang stalking guide. And then there's a bunch of material that I'm gonna put up and I'm gonna make available. And I'll like provide a link for people going through stuff that has like very detailed information in a way that is consumable in a logical order. So my phone is about to die. Thank you for everybody that logged in. I can't really see my chats all the time or I'm gonna get like sidetracked. I'm always surprised when people sit through these spiritual lives because I always feel like I'm gonna freak people out, and I do not want to freak anybody out. I am not like some devil worshiping girl. I know how it looks. I'm not. Read my energy. I'm not. But I hope somebody got something out of it. I'm just telling you guys how I got out of this situation. And though there's remnants of gang stalking here and there and whatever, they cannot do anything. And I know that these attacks are going to be lifelong, and that's why I had to go through this. So your attacks might probably be lifelong, but they're going to subside. It's not going to be crazy for forever. So, and people, especially people in your city, people around you are going to get the hint to like, they can't be sending death spells and all that stuff. Like, Mother makes it clear. Like, there's certain things that they're not supposed to be doing. They're going to be annoying and they're going to, you know, project anger and stuff. And I deal with a lot of that. And I'm always something. I'm gonna get attacked tonight for this live for sure. This man has been uneasy from last night all through this live. He's gonna feel like I need to pay for something, but you know, it is what it is. Thank you guys for like logging in, and please like my videos. Please drop a comment. Any questions I'm going to answer in other videos. I'm sorry if I don't always interact, if I don't really know you, because I just don't know who people are, and I'm just like, I'm not here for it anymore. So thank you. Happy Easter weekend and have a great day.